You know the Sphinx? The colossal lion with a human face sitting at Giza? 73 meters long, 20 meters high. The oldest monumental sculpture in Egypt, carved around 2500 BCE during Pharaoh Khafre's reign. But here's what nobody tells you. Scientists can't explain 12 things about this monument. Water erosion that shouldn't exist. A head too small for its body. Hidden chambers detected by radar. A nose deliberately chiseled off. A beard that fell in pieces. Each mystery stacks on the next until you're staring at a statue that doesn't add up. The body shows deep vertical erosion channels. Between the paws sits a granite stele telling a dream story. 3 tunnels go nowhere. Fragments of a ceremonial beard sit in museums in London and Cairo. And when you run ground-penetrating radar under the monument, the machines detect voids. If you value documented archaeology and verified geological evidence like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. Also, this script is researched and factual, using sources from the Getty Conservation Institute's April 2024 3D radar scan study published in the Journal of Archaeological Science, Robert Schuck's 1991 geological survey presented to the Geological Society of America, which included seismic tomography data from Thomas Dobecki, and the 1578 historical account by Arab historian al-Makrizi on the Sphinx's vandalism stored in Cambridge University manuscripts. Now back to the information. He'd been invited by researcher John Anthony West to examine the monument. Schuck specialized in erosion patterns. West had a theory that the erosion looked wrong for wind and sand. Schuck walked the perimeter, looked at the walls, ran his hand over the deep vertical fissures cutting through the limestone. These are precipitation-induced erosion features, vertical channels, rounded profiles, undulating surfaces, the kind you get from heavy sustained rainfall over centuries. Schuck measured subsurface weathering depth using seismic refraction. His team hit limestone with a sledgehammer on a steel plate. Sound waves penetrated the bedrock, reflected back. The data showed weathering extended 1.8 to 2.5 meters below the Sphinx floor. Structures nearby from the same period show only wind erosion, horizontal abrasion marks, surface pitting, nothing like the Sphinx's deep water channels. Critics point to other explanations. Geologist James Harrell from the University of Toledo argues haloclasty, salt crystallization driven by groundwater capillary action and sand moisture. Water moves up through limestone pores, salt dissolves, crystals expand at the surface, rock flakes off. This process occurs across Giza, but it creates different patterns, flaking, scaling, not the pronounced vertical gullies seen on the Sphinx. Another theory involves the Sphinx sitting partially submerged. Water table fluctuations, flooding from the Nile during the Old Kingdom when rainfall was slightly higher. Geologist Judith Bunbury from Cambridge studied Nile Valley sediments. Climate change in the Giza region began early in the Old Kingdom. Desert sands arrived late in the era around 2200 BCE. Still doesn't account for the depth and style of vertical erosion. The controversy centers on dating. If the erosion required heavy rainfall, the Sphinx's core body predates 2500 BCE. Schuck initially estimated 5000 BCE, later pushed it back to 10,000 BCE, aligning with the end of the last ice age. Mainstream Egyptology rejects this. No civilization existed in Egypt capable of carving the Sphinx before the 4th dynasty. No tools, no infrastructure. No evidence of the workforce needed to quarry and shape 73 meters of limestone. If it predated carving, the pattern would be random. It's not. Not an older Sphinx later incorporated. Added the face, carved details, but the body's outline existed first. The head is disproportionately small compared to the body. He stated the head and body were massively out of proportion. The reason could be that the Sphinx originally had an entirely different head, that of a lion. To early Egyptians, the lion was a much more potent symbol of power than the human face. The lions still inhabited the Giza region during the Old Kingdom. The leonine form represented strength and divine authority. He notes the head has been exposed to wind and sun for most of the Sphinx's life. The body was buried in sand up to the neck for centuries. Sand protects limestone from weathering. The head should show more erosion than the body, but it shows less. The head looks newer. This suggests it was recarved at some point after the original monument was created. Robert and Olivia Temple argue in their book that the head was recarved during the Middle Kingdom around 2000 BCE. The original statue was Anubis, the jackal god who guarded necropolises. During the first intermediate period between 2200 and 2000 BCE, chaos reigned. Mobs vandalized Giza monuments. The Anubis head's ears and snout were smashed. What remained was a neck stump. A later pharaoh carved the current human face from that stump. The temples identify the face as Amenemhet II based on comparative analysis with Middle Kingdom statuary. Guarding. Anubis protected the dead. Giza is a necropolis. The statue's position fits. Stability concerns required reducing mass at the top to prevent structural failure. Computer models of the Sphinx with a full lion's head show balanced dimensions. The body's size makes sense with a larger head. The current head looks grafted on. Whether this reflects original design limitations or later modification remains debated. Stylistic analysis of the face shows New Kingdom influence according to some researchers, Old Kingdom according to others. Without inscriptions specifying who carved the head or when, the small proportion mystery endures. They identified 3 subterranean anomalies in front of the paws, along the flanks, and across the left rump. One anomaly on the southern flank near a Roman-era altar indicated a possible vertical shaft. The team used electromagnetic equipment, sent signals into the ground, measured resistance. Areas with lower resistance suggested voids or different materials. During seismic studies, they detected evidence of a chamber under the left paw. Sound wave data showed a cavity in the bedrock, dimensions unclear. The anomaly could be a natural fissure or a man-made space. No drilling has confirmed it. Between the Sphinx and the Nile, the chamber supposedly contained scrolls documenting Atlantean civilization, dated to 10,500 BCE. Casey never provided archaeological evidence. His followers formed the Association for Research and Enlightenment. They funded surveys at Giza, hoping to find the hall. Permission granted to drill into one anomaly near the Great Pyramid as a test. The drilling revealed only a natural cavity, no chambers, no artifacts. Authorities denied further permission to drill elsewhere. The Hall of Records remains unproven. Plateau. Multiple hollow zones adjacent to the Sphinx itself. The study used ultra-precise 3D radar, detected features that may indicate undiscovered corridors or foundation structures, possibly part of a hidden network connecting Giza's ritual topography. They claimed signs of a possible underground city beneath the Giza Plateau, a structure spanning hundreds, perhaps thousands of meters. The announcement generated significant media coverage. Independent verification pending. They identified an L-shaped shallow structure approximately 10 by 15 meters, filled with sand at 0.5 to 2 meters depth, connected to a deeper resistive anomaly 10 by 10 meters at 5 to 10 meters depth. The study proposes this as a possible archaeological entrance or tomb shaft. Emile Berets discovered them during excavations between 1925 and 1936. One entrance on the rump north of center, another on the left side, halfway between front and rear paws. Both lead to dead-end passages. A third shaft behind the head drilled 27 feet deep by vise and paring. All investigated. No significant finds. Berets sealed them with repair blocks and cement. Mark Lanner and Zahi Hawass confirmed the tunnels. They state treasure hunters and tomb robbers dug most of these shafts over centuries. Not part of the original design, but seismic data continues to show subsurface anomalies. Natural limestone cavities exist throughout Giza. The bedrock is riddled with fissures and voids formed millions of years ago. Distinguishing natural features from man-made chambers requires drilling and direct observation. As of now, no verified hidden chamber beneath the Sphinx has been excavated. Radar and seismic surveys detect anomalies, but without physical access, their nature remains speculative. Egyptian authorities restrict invasive exploration to protect the monument. Another below the nostril. Long rods or chisels were hammered in, the nose was pried off, stonework crumbled as it fell or was destroyed afterward. Examination by archaeologist Mark Lanner in the 1980s confirmed this. The nose was deliberately removed by human hands. Destroyed the nose as target practice? This story is false. Danish explorer Frederick Louis Norden sketched the Sphinx in 1737. His drawing shows no nose. 61 years before Napoleon arrived, French naturalist Pierre Ballon visited in 1546, wrote that the Sphinx had sustained damage and no longer had the stamp of grace and beauty admired by Abdel Latif in 1200. Arab historian al-Makrizi provides the most cited account. Writing in the early 1500s, he attributes the nose's destruction to Muhammad Saim al-Dar, a Sufi Muslim from the Khanqa of Sayyid al-Suwada. In 1378, Saim al-Dar found local peasants making offerings to the Sphinx. They hoped to control the Nile's seasonal floods, improve harvests. Saim al-Dar saw this as idolatry. He took a chisel to the Sphinx's face. Removed the nose. Local belief held that increased sand covering the Giza Plateau was celestial revenge for this act of defacement. Saim al-Dar was reportedly executed by angry villagers who blamed him for the disaster. Whether Saim al-Dar or another iconoclast destroyed the nose, the historical record indicates deliberate vandalism by someone opposed to statue worship. The nose was removed long before other severe deterioration occurred. The Description de l'Egypte, published in 1809, documented ancient sites scientifically, but images from that expedition show the Sphinx already noseless. Zahi Hawass stated clearly that Napoleon Bonaparte has nothing to do with destroying the Sphinx's nose. Sacred images were defaced to end pagan practices. The Sphinx represented pre-Islamic beliefs. Offerings made to it conflicted with Islamic teachings. Destroying the nose symbolically killed the spirit believed to inhabit the statue. More fragments remain in storage at the Grand Egyptian Museum. Recovered, sent to Cairo. Thutmose IV erected the dream stele between the Sphinx's paws, granite, 3.6 meters tall, 15 tons. The stele recounts Thutmose's vision. As a young prince, he rested in the Sphinx's shadow while hunting. The Sphinx, as the god Hormaket, spoke to him in a dream, promised him the throne if he cleared the sand covering the monument. Thutmose cleared the sand, became pharaoh, added the beard to honor the god. The beard fragments show carving quality consistent with New Kingdom craftsmanship. The British Museum fragment measures roughly 1/30th of the complete beard. It displays fine detail, plaited strands, a curving tip. The piece was presented to the museum by Caviglia, now catalogued as EA58, supported by its own weight and some attachment to the chest. Over centuries, weathering weakened the stone, thermal expansion and contraction, salt crystallization, moisture infiltration. The beard broke away, fell between the paws, shattered into pieces, possibly representing Thutmose IV himself making an offering. This proves the beard was not original to Khafre's time. It was a later addition meant to deify the Sphinx. Reunification is unlikely. Each museum considers its pieces part of its collection. A solar deity merged with the pharaoh's image. Prince Thutmose hunts near Giza, falls asleep at midday in the Sphinx's shadow. The god Hormaket appears, speaks directly, tells Thutmose, "The sand covers my body. I have been waiting for you to do what is in my heart. I know you are my son and protector." The god promises kingship. "If you clear the sand, I will give you my kingship upon the earth." Commissions the stele to commemorate the event, but the dream's authenticity is questioned. Many Egyptologists view it as fabricated political propaganda. Selim Hassan's publication in the 1940s, partially composed by Dorothy Eady, first proposed that Thutmose removed his brothers, either by death or disgrace, obliterated their names, seized the throne. A permanent public record of divine endorsement. Dr. Hutan Ashrafian from Imperial College London proposed in 2012 that Thutmose IV and other 18th dynasty pharaohs suffered familial temporal epilepsy. This neurological condition causes intense spiritual visions and religiosity. It would account for Thutmose's early death around age 30 and his religious vision described on the dream stele. Temporal lobe epilepsy patients report profound spiritual experiences, conversations with deities, a sense of divine presence. If Thutmose had this condition, his dream might have been a seizure-induced hallucination, interpreted as divine revelation. Thutmose ruled for roughly 10 years, conducted military campaigns, built monuments. His mummy, discovered in tomb KV-43 and moved to the cache in KV-35, shows an extremely emaciated body, severe wasting disease. He died young. Some scholars interpret this as Khafre, linking the Sphinx to him. Others argue the text is too damaged to draw conclusions. The Khaf reference remains disputed evidence in the Sphinx's construction debate. Whether Thutmose dreamed or lied, the stele achieved its goal. It's still there, thousands of years later, telling his version of events. The rest is missing. Stripes likely mimicked the Nemes headdress seen on pharaonic statuary. The body may have been painted to enhance the lion form. Colors faded centuries ago. Weathering stripped the paint. Desert winds, sun exposure, sand abrasion. The Sphinx would have been striking. Red face, blue and gold headdress, contrasting against the limestone body. At sunrise, the painted Sphinx facing east would have glowed. Gold signified divinity and eternal life. The Sphinx wasn't just a guardian, it was a living god in stone. The uraeus is mostly gone. What remains is the damaged limestone core. The mystery of its original splendor persists. One on top of the head, drilled by vise and paring to a depth of 27 feet. All led to dead ends, or were investigated with minimal results. But some tunnels show ancient construction, not crude robber holes. Hewn passages. This suggests they might have served a purpose during the Sphinx's history. Ventilation? Ritual access? Exploratory shafts from Old Kingdom or New Kingdom restorations? No inscriptions clarify intent. They found nothing, but seismic studies later detected anomalies below that area. The drill may have missed adjacent voids by meters. The identity debate. Comparative facial analysis shows similarities to Khufu's known images. The famous diorite statue of Khafre in the Cairo Museum has different proportions. Skeptics question the match. Comparison with multiple 4th Dynasty royal faces. Such work has been done. Results published in specialist journals. Consensus leans toward Khafre, but isn't absolute. Minor variations exist. If recarving occurred, less stone was available. The new face had to fit the remaining rock. Compromises in proportion might have been necessary. This would explain the mismatch. But geological evidence challenges this. Water erosion suggests much older origins. Schoch's 10,000 BCE estimate. Climate data supporting heavy rainfall during the African humid period. Undulating vertical profiles inconsistent with 4,500 years of arid weathering. At 10,500 BCE, the Sphinx faced the constellation Leo at the spring equinox sunrise. Leo the lion, Sphinx the lion, symbolic alignment. This theory suggests the Giza complex encodes astronomical knowledge from a much earlier civilization. No archaeological evidence supports Atlantis as a real civilization. Casey's readings are dismissed by mainstream science as pseudo-history. Granite facings from the 4th dynasty cover those blocks. This sequence indicates one construction phase. Dendrochronology, radiocarbon dating, and luminescence dating can't be applied to carved stone. The limestone is millions of years old. Carving leaves no organic material to date. We rely on context, associated artifacts, stylistic analysis, and that context points to the 4th dynasty. The construction date remains contested. During the Old Kingdom, if it depicted Khafra, it represented the king merged with solar power, a guardian, a display of royal authority. No recorded name from that period survives. The Sphinx became a focus of religious devotion, but the original Egyptian identity was lost. At equinoxes, the sun rises directly in front. Symbolic rebirth. Ra emerging from the horizon. The Sphinx as witness. Recent radar discoveries in the underground network theory. Radar can detect voids, but can't identify their nature. Natural cavities, ancient chambers, modern utility tunnels. Confirmation requires excavation. Foundation structures, a hidden network connecting Giza's ritual topography. Is there a subterranean city? A network of tunnels predating the pyramids? Ritual spaces carved beneath the plateau? Prosaic explanations exist. Natural limestone caves, old excavation backfill, underground water channels. The Nile aquifer sits below Giza. Capillary action moves water through limestone, creates voids as rock dissolves. Sensational claims damage credibility, but the radar anomalies are real. Something is down there. Multiple surveys using different technologies detect voids, but no such scan has been conducted. Funding, permissions, time, all barriers. Detected but unexplored. The monument is ancient, carved from Giza limestone, weathered by time, modified by pharaohs, worshipped as a god, buried and uncovered repeatedly. Today it sits exposed, eroded, studied by instruments that peer through stone. A divine beard in pieces, a propaganda stele claiming divine kingship, missing colors and cobra, tunnels to nowhere, a face that might not be Khafre, a date that doesn't match geology, a god renamed by Greeks, and voids beneath the pause where something waits. Heat signatures indicating possible subsurface structures. The study noted these anomalies align with the previously detected voids. Additional investigation scheduled for 2026 pending Ministry of Antiquities approval. We see water erosion because geologists with modern tools examined it. We question the head because architects understand proportion. We detect chambers because radar technology exists. Future discoveries will add more mysteries. That's the nature of archaeology. Every answer births new questions. Watching civilizations rise and fall, 73 meters of stone that won't explain itself.